Hello, my name is Damien, the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad and host of the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad podcast. And welcome to part 3 of Sermons from My Past. And this is part 3 of Building Dynamic Relationships. Let's play some music.
So far from lies and hypocrisy, returns to energy, and silence becomes breathe. Don't ask me the reason why. Just take. I only dream in black and white. Future's nothingness, but I can choose another end. Opening my eyes, and you beginning in my life. Without emptiness to feel, I am sure of myself. No mercy until the end.
Hello, yes, my name is Damien, the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad. This is part 3 of, I'm reading old sermons from my past. And just on the video there is the cab ride from St. Moritz in Switzerland to Tirano in Italy. So enjoy the visuals. Even if you don't want to listen to my voice, there's some nice scenery to keep you entertained. So yeah, I'm just going through. So this is from Pastor Brendan J. Kirby from Hope of God International Movement. He's the pastor of the Hope of God Church in Adelaide, South Australia. I think he still is. I think he'll be taken out in Pine Box. Myself, he'll be there for a very long time. But it's a church I used to be in 20-something years ago. And so I've actually decided, look, I'll go through my old sermons. I may actually one day decide to read Bible studies that I've led myself. So we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, this is a sermon about building dynamic relationships. I'm not so sure what he means by dynamic. Just on a suppose looking back, I don't know what he means by, like, I'd rather build a good relationship. I'd rather build a relationship in which there's authenticity and, being able to enjoy the company of someone and all that kind of stuff. Oh, so that's St. Moritz there. Then where's Tirano? So I'm looking at the video myself. This is I should be reading my sermon. This is okay, yep. So I've got that. Yep. Oh, down there. Okay, so that's actually quite a good ride. I might have to go to Switzerland one day, and I'll have to check with my employer and see what they say. But yes. Anyway, so I'm going to read from the notes of the handout that was handout that was given out, and I've actually written some handwritten notes on there myself just to add to my understanding. And yes, if you agree, if you disagree, otherwise the music that was playing and will play in a sec is from Victim of Illusion from their album Invisible Light. Bandcamp, and purchase their album Invisible Light for a very, very reasonable price. Support independent music artists and just get some really good music, because I think you'll like it. I definitely like it. I'll give you that much. So the previous two parts have gone through obviously the previous sections. I'm reading this sequentially, and look, if you agree with me, you agree with me. If not, you don't. I've just read Ray Comfort and Frank Turek, and so this is actually a welcome change. This isn't apologetics. This is just a sermon about building relationships, but with a Christian focused. So anyway, 3, 2, 1. Building stronger relationships. And here's got 7 points. Point 1, make an effort. Leave your comfort zone. 2, encourage others. Spur them on. 3, appreciate others. Talk about good points, not being critical. 4, be enthusiastic. 5, talk about what interests them. 6, be honest and generous. 7, be sensitive to the various levels of the relationship. Acquaintance, talk about the weather. Working relationship, talk about work, family. Friendship, go out together. Intimacy, share feelings, hopes, dreams. Empathy, know everything about each other. And actually, I'm going to agree. I actually do, mostly agree with these points. Though I would also say, watch out for toxic behavior as well. Because I can see that this is written from the perspective of you overly giving to the other person. I would like there to be some sort of reciprocating responsibility, and also like safeguards against manipulation and all that kind of stuff. But I would hazard a guess and say that Pastor Brendan Kirby would say, "Oh, no true Christian manipulates." Yeah, good one. But yeah, no true Christian lies, no true Christian manipulates, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's so Pastor Brendan Kirby was very big on, I suppose, practical things. But that got him into trouble with the older folk at our church who said, "Oh, you're talking about relationships and time management and intellectual things too much. You should be preaching the gospel." Yeah, that's look, I actually learnt a bit off of Pastor Kirby. He's a decent man. Just trying to think. My time with him is a bit mixed in that, he there was some good qualities about him, but there's also some not so good qualities about him. Yeah. So from what I can gather, what his thing is that give and give and give. Is give and be nice and all that kind of stuff. And look, to a point, yes, I agree that being nice and being generous with your time and maybe money as well, and talk about good points and not being critical is a way of building strong relationships. That is absolutely correct. Yeah, but I just would like some sort of I suppose safeguard against expending too much, because I think you can expend too much to the point of and also so his first point here, make an effort, leave your comfort zone. Yes and no, because if you're forcing yourself to do something, then it's not genuine, and that's the thing. I think we do need to be genuine. I think it's a bit hard, but I think just having a good level of maturity, because this was actually written for university students, which is but anyway, I'll go back to the sermon in 3, 2, 1. 2 problems. A, relationships are very fragile. People are easily misunderstood and easily hurt. Easily disappointed because expectations are not met. 99 compliments versus 1 rude or careless remark. B, we are not taught how to develop friendships. We are educated in analysing facts and results, learning and researching new technologies, how to function in our job. But what is love? How can a man/husband understand a woman/wife? How can I understand myself? If your relationships are messed up, life becomes miserable. Yeah, I would have to eminently agree. Relationships can be fragile, especially at the start. People can be easily misunderstood, especially those with mental health issues. What I've noticed is like particularly, and this is kind of something that I feel a little bit of pain just reading, because so I was in this church in my late teens and very early 20s. I spent probably about 7 years in the movement all up, roughly, something like that. And the problem was that at the time, I didn't know that I was suffering depression and anxiety disorder. And I look back now, and a lot of the behaviours that I did were as the result of obviously me being immature, which is, you know, as to be expected when you're a kid at uni, and trying to get away from a restrictive background, but also kind of reacting to the socially repressive environment that you're in. And I will have to say that this church was socially restrictive. Probably not as much as others, but the truth of it is that they were. Yeah, they were. So I'm just looking at this train. I'm wondering where's it going? But yeah. So it's one thing to talk about being genuine and being honest, but then the problem is if you're genuine and honest about doubts about your faith, about, you know, monogamy, about, you know, alternative spiritualities, or no, you can't be honest about that. Or for me, in my case, I was, I suppose, a little bit, alternative might be the best way of putting it. And so I'm looking at the video. They're in Pontresina. Okay, don't know where Pontresina is, but alright, cool. Let's man, go to Switzerland one day. go to America. Go to Switzerland. Go to all the Germany. Go to all these places. Go back to Hong Kong and Macau as well. Oh my god. I've been sharing holiday trips with a friend of, you know, from my time in Hong Kong and Macau, and so I'm gonna really want to go back. But yeah, it's but no, people are easily misunderstood or easily hurt, and even for like the strongest of us, what I've noticed is that those people who talk tough and go, you know, nothing upsets me, you can say whatever you like, you know, I'm not offended, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, like, I think they're more covering up. And I have to admit that I'm guilty of that myself, in that, like, I generally am not easily offended, and I mean that genuine. But in the past, I was more like, oh yeah, say whatever, you know, I'm not offended, all that kind of stuff. But then, you know, it was somewhat easy to offend me, and you know, there were. Yeah, I'm just trying to think, because this is probably in the last few years, probably this really played a part in a person who I considered a friend, but how can I say? Yeah, we had a falling out, and it turns out that like he was the kind of person that, you know, said that he didn't take offense and you can say anything to him, and, you know, he didn't care about feelings and that, but he was very, very emotional. And so it's so I would just say that, yeah, those people who go, you know, I'm not easily offended and all, you know, yeah. Now, having said that, now I am honestly a person who's not easily offended. Yeah, but as long as the level of respect is there. So yeah, with my friends, You know, I think disrespect is crossing the line, but, you know, as long as you can, like, you know, I've had a couple of my best friends tell me to fuck off. It's like, you know, but I know they mean it in like a very joking way, and, you know, like, it's just, yeah, like, I think the more deeper your relationship, as long as, if you do things with the respect, then, you know, and with a good heart, and because what I can see in this kind of context is like the automatic underlying assumption that people are very insecure. In some aspects, yes, and in some aspects, no, and people do get disappointed because expectations are not met. Now, when he says relationships, I'm not so sure whether he means husband and wife or just friendships and that kind of stuff. But I think it's a bit of both. But so I'm just okay. Switch on your workout. Very, very interesting. Sorry, my voice is starting to go because this is the third recording I've done today. Things are just. I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm still a bit. I haven't slept too much either, so I'm still a bit up in the air. But I'll agree. You know, if expectations are not met, then yeah, we do get. And this is the thing. We should aim to have a level of maturity that allows us to state our expectations and understand what we want. Now, the thing is that there's no magic bullet for maturity except just to live life and, I suppose, be intellectually and emotionally honest and be secure. And if we as a society were teaching people to be intellectually honest and mature, that kind of stuff, then yeah, we would life would be easier. But I suppose within the Christian context, there's actually not much room to be to be honest. 2 secs, guys. Children, especially very huggable children. Yeah. So I suppose what I was going to say was in the fundamentalist Christian. So I should have clarified that the Hope of God Church, I would call them fundamentalists, and I'd probably go so far as to call them a cult. Just in that they, if you look at the Stephen Hassan Bite model of what cults do, I would say that the Hope of God Church, and hopefully I'll set myself up for some trouble here, but yeah, they do. I experience behavioural control, thought control, emotional control, and to an extent information control, but it was more the BTE part of it. Yeah. So I suppose in a fundamentalist Christian context, there's not much room for dissent, and there's not much room for honesty. And yeah, and this is one of the things that I've kind of had to learn as I've grown up and as I've got 2 teenage kids. Is, you know, you want people to be honest, because when shit hits the fan, you don't want misinformation. That's the thing. You want to know, and you want, and sometimes you have to drop your prejudice in order to get to the truth. And yeah, but Pastor Brendan does have a point here where he goes 99 compliments versus 1 rude or careless remark. That does happen. If you think about it in a relationship, you know, let's say with your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, you know, if you say something incredibly rude or careless, that does seem to magically wipe out the 99 nice things that you said. And it's just one of those human nature things where, how can I say, yeah, it is. Now, as I have matured and learnt and understood, I've come to appreciate that just because there's a rude or careless remark doesn't have to spell the end of the relationship. There are, it's just one of those things that sometimes people say silly things and they don't mean to hurt you, but it's just one of those. It can be said out of frustration. It can be said out of it might be a personal challenge going on, stuff like that. So I suppose understanding why the person said the rude thing is key. If you care about the relationship, then you will, yeah. And that comes down to maturity and honesty. And this is the thing. I think Christians talk a big game, but they. As my buddies over at I was a teenage fundamentalist say about Hillsong, there wasn't much room for dissent. Is a way of putting it. Anyway, then this next section is, but what is love? How can a man/husband understand a woman/wife? How can I understand myself? If your relationships are messed up, life becomes unstable. Yep, that is correct. What is love? I think love is many things depending on the context, but I think the essence of love is, how can I put it? It's actually a very good question. What is love? Is being able to be honest and open and accepting of one another, but also willing to look after the other person. That's probably a good way of looking at it. How can I understand myself? Well, it takes time. It's just one of those things to do with honesty and therapy. Because, and this is, I suppose, one of the things that in my time in this church, there was a time when I was honest to myself, but then, the idea that I was essentially a pastor in training, or that I was being groomed to be, a great man of God, and the wonderful things are going to happen, and stuff like that. Pardon me. But it was. I suppose it's fair to say it wasn't always it wasn't always easy, and then there were just things that happened that I thought weren't particularly offensive, but yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say got beaten. I was going to say got beaten out of me, but it just got through guilt and shame and religious inculcation. You just gotta push, malleted out, squeezed out. And right, if your relationships are messed up, life becomes miserable, and I've experienced that numerous times. But maturity isn't it's not a goal per se. It's more of a journey. It's more of an evolving situation, because when you think you're mature, something else will happen, and it'll what mature is, and just because you're mature doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It just means that your propensity for making mistakes is reduced. But don't think for a second that just because you are mature means that life is perfect. It's just I suppose a relative term. Anyway, I'll continue on with the next part of the sermon, and in 3, 2, 1. Restoring relationships and building new bridges. 2 Corinthians 5:18. Now all things are of God, who has reconciled us to himself through Jesus Christ, and has given us the ministry of reconciliation. Build a bridge to others to give life, hope, love, understanding, and comfort. 1. Be proactive. Do to others as you would have them do to you. 2. Refuse to wear a mask. Be sincere. Be a real person. Be authentic. 3. Identify some common ground. 1 Corinthians 9:22. I've become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. 4. Demonstrate God's love. 1 John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Everyone needs acceptance. Everyone needs affirmation, emotional understanding, and support. Everyone needs assistance. 5. Give credibility to their feelings and fears. Respect the way they feel. Do not judge from your position. 6. Expect God to use you, with an exclamation mark. Build bridges with those who do not know the Lord. Yes'm? Wow, everyone's here today. It's going to be hard to record, but yes. So that was restoring relationships and building new bridges. Now, up until it got very religious, I actually kind of agreed with most of these points. But the idea of reconciliation is actually more to do between man and God rather than in a human to human context. So I find it interesting that he's quoted that verse in order to make that point. But I have heard of that verse being used in a human, especially marriage context. And I'm actually going to look up that 2 Corinthians 5:18. So let me just quickly check what Bible Hub. I actually quite like Bible Hub. I just want to see what the actual passage says and what reconciliation actually means. 5 and 18. Okay. Okay, so the NIV does use the word reconciliation. The ESV, the Berean. Yep. Now, what does the word reconciliation actually mean? So if I read the Greek, all this is from God who reconciled. Okay, so reconciled comes from 2 seconds. Reconcile comes from the Greek word katalexanthos, which Strong's 2644, which means to change, exchange, reconcile. From kata and alasso, to change mutually, to compound a difference. 2 seconds. There it is.
Thank you, Moo.
Okay, that should go bing, bing,
Your
bing.
legs are so tan. I need skin and bones. No, I'm just taking off my jumper.
Awesome. All right, it should be coming out now.
Okay, quiet.
Okay, this is life with kids. So, yeah, that's what Catalak Xanthos means. And yeah, I'm going to end the stream here. I hope you've enjoyed the past of this blast from my past. Anyway, check out the website, www.tallfriendlyatheisttent.com. Check out the podcast on Anchor. Check me out on Twitter and Facebook. And until next time, look after yourselves. See you.
I am sure of myself. No mercy.